Welcome to another episode of the A-Team at New Beginnings Farmstead. I think I just woke Jeff up. We have a Gidio, Jeff, Julie, Ryan, and myself, Elisa. And today we are going to talk about some farm safety and some farm accidents that we've had here on the farm. So who would like to start?
Why you look at me?
Well, you've all had a little bit of an accident. Only 2 required a trip to the hospital.
I can start since I went to the hospital.
Okay, you're one of the hospital visits.
Yes. So this was a couple years ago now. It was winter, and we were in the woods tapping.
You can be able to get through this? It sounds like it's traumatic.
I'm trying to remember, frankly. I should have done.
It wasn't a head injury.
I should have done some thinking before the show. I was new to the farm, but not new to being in the woods. And we were just working in an area that is now called Upper Julie. This was before the zones were named. It's now called Upper Julie because I got hurt in it. And I knew, so I'm walking through the woods, and long story short, I trip. So there's snow on the ground. Probably not that much, a couple inches of snow. But through the top of the snow, throughout the woods, there's, underbrush sticking up all over. So we had to be not gentle, but careful as we're walking, right? And in reality, as you're stepping down, you don't necessarily know what's going to be underfoot. I was wearing steel-toed boots. I was wearing, full everything that should have been worn. Anyway, I stepped and tripped over a branch and went down forward and felt like something impaled my leg, and I laid down on the ground. And I know that Jeff was the closest person to me, and he said, "Are you okay?" And I said, "Yes, unless this thing went into my leg." And so I looked down at my jeans, and there was a hole in my jeans and a piece of like a branch that had been sticking straight up, like if you imagine like a hemlock laying down with branches or like just little snags sticking up all over it. One of those impaled into my leg. And we pulled my jean up above my lower leg. And indeed, it had impaled into me through one hole and out through another hole. And these guys yelled, "Quick,
start the excavator.
Get the Kubota." And I'm like, "Oh, I don't know what that means, but I don't think that sounds right."
It's our special code.
It's your special code, which to me should have meant maybe someone to call 911. But instead, they thought they were going to just
bury you.
Bury me. So I was not crying. I think I was laughing.
Yeah, I think we actually have. Don't we have video of you being carried out of the woods?
Brandon
so
carried
you and Brandon, or you and Chris carried me. So the lines were already up, and I think you had to lift me over or under something. You carried me like sort of Cleopatra style and put me into the mule. You were down at the house.
Yeah, I came down to make lunch, and Egidio called me.
You drove
in
me
a panic. He's like, "Julie has to go to the hospital. You're going to have to call Steve."
I got to keep Jeff from burying. You're starting up the excavator.
And I'm like, "What do you mean Julie has to go to the hospital?" He goes, "Well, she fell and there's blood, something stuck in her, and she needs to go to the hospital."
Yeah. I sat in the side of the mule. You drove. We must have wrapped it with something.
Oh, Jen
wrapped it.
Yeah.
Jen wrapped it in the field.
Yes.
And no, was she in the field or was she down here?
This is a terrible story.
This is a terrible story.
It was a
It's
traumatic
very
incident. You don't remember any of
Okay,
it.
somewhere along
just
the
the
way,
fact
Jen wrapped it, and
she's a nurse.
She's a nurse.
She's a nurse.
Yep. And then you called Steve.
I called Steve, and I drove you to the hospital. Now, this was like the tail end of COVID.
Yep.
Because I had to wait in the parking lot for you. Nobody was allowed inside.
Yes.
But then at one point they did let me in. You were allowed one person. I waited to see if Steve was going to come. I don't think he was home. He had something happening.
Yeah.
And so I went in.
Well, it also might have been like, "Is she okay? I don't really do hospitals."
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wasn't going to say it.
Yeah.
But I also recall you being in the bathroom and you read the sign that said no weapons,
Okay,
and you're
yeah.
like,
So-
I have a knife, I have a knife, I have a knife
Yes.
in my pocket. I'm
So
like,
I go in and like they bring me in, and I had a tool. I had a pocket knife in my pocket, and so I did. I went into the bathroom. And there's like no weapon sign, and I'm just like, oh my god. So I'm texting Elisa like, I literally have a knife. What am I supposed to do? Should I have this
like
knife?
you're okay. You can come out of the bathroom.
So they put me on. Oh, you weren't there.
No, I wasn't.
You weren't there because I
Obviously,
remember
because you're
sending
still
you
here.
a picture.
Jeff wasn't the
He
one
would-
that.
he
He's
would
not
have
the
the
one that
excavator
runs for the
going.
excavator.
Oh, you would have been the one that buried me. So yeah, I get in the
Most likely.
hospital and they like irrigated it.
They irrigated it, and out of this gaping hole in your calf came denim.
Denim.
Like there was denim pieces of
Oh,
her
it went in.
pants.
and pieces of
Oh
wood.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. They were flushing wood and denim out of a hole in your leg.
Yeah. I have pictures, and if I don't know how we feel about showing pictures, but I do have pictures.
What shocked me the most was months later, we were walking lunchtime, and I'm talking 6 months later, and your leg was still bleeding.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You had a Band-Aid on your leg, and I was like, oh, why are you bleeding? And she's like, this is from the farm.
Yeah. It's. I mean, I'm wearing leggings now, and I don't think I can pull it up enough, but huge, big scar for sure. But like I didn't get stitches.
Well, it was a puncture wound,
Yeah.
right?
I didn't get stitches. They irrigated it. There was like pieces of wood and weird stuff. I lost a pair of jeans in the deal, but like I know.
One little hole in the leg, and you lost jeans.
Reuse.
They cut
I
them
was gonna
like
say,
while
they
I was
Make them
there.
capris
Yeah,
or
I think
something.
they-
Turn them into
they
capris. I
Cut
don't know.
the bottom of her
They cut
pant
'em.
leg off.
Don't
Cut it.
people
Not
spend
an
thousands
excuse.
of dollars on cut?
That's
ripped
true.
jeans?
Yeah, but not cut
No,
off. One
well,
leg cut
no.
off.
I
Fashion
don't think I
statement.
cried the entire time. I took a picture. I like folded my leg over the side of the bed thing, and like only showed my leg like it was amputated, and sent the picture to you, thinking maybe I would convince you that I amputated my leg.
I don't remember that.
Yes, I did.
I don't remember that
Okay.
because I would have probably come and started the excavator.
But yeah, so that was my.
That was
my
one
experience.
of 2 trips to the hospital.
Not. I didn't go to the hospital another time.
No, one of 2 out of all of us.
out of all of us.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Egidio had the first hospital trip, and that was right after we bought the farm.
Yeah.
So tell us about that.
Well, I got hurt and I went to the hospital.
Okay. If you turn your face a little bit, we could see the scar from the stitches that you got right near
You'll have to take
your
a picture.
eye.
You'll take a picture. It's nothing.
I have a
Scars.
picture of you in the hospital.
Yeah. Okay. I was reluctant to go.
Tell us what you did.
Yeah. So there was we were getting rid of some scrap metal, and along the sides of the barn there was these pieces that belonged to a hay bind. They had the
Get a little closer.
triangular teeth on it. It was like a sickle bar for a hay bind, and there were 4 or 5 of them piled up near the blue barn. So I threw them in the back of the pickup truck, and one of them didn't fit, so I kind of bent it over. And we've been cleaning up all along, so I went up, and as I'm unloading the truck, I grabbed it, threw it in the pile, grabbed another one. I grabbed something else, I threw it in the pile, and as soon as it hit the pile, it spun one of the hay bind pieces, and it came around, and the bit caught me right. Where is it? Right here, and literally felt like I got punched in the head. The force of it just kind of knocked me over, and I'm like, "Whoa, what was that?" And I look, and I could see the steel sticking up, and I put my hand on it. I could see the blood. I could feel it dripping. So I just pinched it off, got in the truck, drove down here, and I come in the house, and she's upstairs doing something. And I said, "Hey, where's the peroxide?" And instead of saying, "Oh, it's in the lower cabinet," she said, "Why do you need peroxide?" And I said, "Well, just tell me where it is." She goes, "What do you need it for?" I said, "Just tell me where the peroxide is." And she's like, "I'm coming down." I go, "There's no need. Just show me the peroxide." And then I heard, "Oh my God, you gotta go to the hospital." I'm
I
like,
could
"It's
see
not-"
his cheekbone.
Yeah,
It
all
was
right,
wide
whatever.
open. I could see the bone. I'm
And
like,
all
no,
I'm
you're going to
thinking
the
is,
hospital.
I'm losing precious
Yeah,
daylight.
and I'm
right?
thinking the rusty metal that just sliced your
Okay.
face open.
I had a tetanus shot years ago.
Yeah,
It's
well,
fine.
you had a tetanus shot that day.
yeah, because
too.
I couldn't remember, right? They put
Yeah.
me at,
Well,
I
right?
got
it had
I
been
got
a
a
long
tetanus
time.
shot too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that day.
see? So,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
anyway, so what they do? A couple of story strips, and we're done.
Right.
And
You
back to work I went.
You couldn't have waited till after dark.
Trust me, brother. It was
And he's got-
non-negotiable.
he's got the nice little scar there.
Yeah, pretty good divot. It's when I shave, the shaving cream gets stuck sometimes.
Mhm.
Oh.
Oh,
Yeah, it's awful. It's awful. But at no point did I scream for anyone to start the excavator. So,
You were the only one here.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
yeah, no, I did what. Listen, I pinched it off. I held it as tight as I could. I came down
Yeah, it's
here. I was
covered
gonna,
in blood.
I was
You're
just going to clean it
covered in
off,
blood.
put a little peroxide on it, and keep moving. Right, that's it. But yeah,
So two of us have been hit by a tree. I was hit by a tree the first time that Egidio cut down.
you were
it
hit
was,
by a branch.
It was not a branch.
It
It
was a
knocked
little
me
branch.
down.
What?
It knocked me down on the ground. What I want to get at here is that I was hit by a tree probably 3 years before you were hit by a tree, but you being hit by a tree is what caused us to wear hard hats.
But let's expand on that.
Because I was hit by a tree and we just kept on going.
Well, the morning
Yeah.
we cut down a tree, and squirrels jumped out of said tree,
It's
Aw.
true.
and we had a meltdown.
Mhm.
We
and we
did.
stopped the operation.
we
and we
did not have a meltdown.
no, we
I
did.
had a
There,
meltdown.
No,
there are people that had
no,
a
no,
meltdown.
no. We collectively had to have a meltdown. Correct?
Yeah, you and I were both like, whoa.
Right? And we had to make sure the squirrels had a home, and we had to make
We
sure
did
they
squirrel tracking
found,
in the woods.
right,
Well,
they
yeah.
found their way
Well,
home.
You
and
took
all
their
that.
house away from them in the middle
Correct.
of winter.
And there was a big to do.
It's true.
I got hit with a tree, not a branch,
No, a tree.
a tree,
It was pretty good.
and I was,
No tears.
You think he's going to get up?
That's
Yeah.
not true.
Give him a minute. Give him a minute.
He did
Yeah.
No,
not,
no, there
Give him
he
a
is.
minute. All right, he's
All right,
moving.
we're good.
All right, we're good.
Yeah. So when,
True statement.
when
you
we were
didn't
back
fall
there-
to the ground.
I did fall to the ground when I got hit by a tree. It hit me on the back and knocked me down.
Oh.
And Egidio picked me up off the ground, screaming, "Are you okay?" But no hard hats
See,
after
I
that.
know you don't hit the ground because that's when they start the excavator.
Yeah.
That's right.
You, you
Yeah.
wanna
stayed
be
up.
on
You
your
stop
feet.
moving for a
Yeah.
certain
You
amount
stayed
of
up.
time.
You were
Yeah.
like, I'm fine. I'm
You
fine.
want to be on your feet when they,
And it's interesting because she purposely got in the way. I had cut the hinge. I knew where it was going, and she kind of just like,
I was like,
Ah!
"Oh, yeah,
She
let me
lined
get hit
it
by
up
this
like-
tree."
yeah, yeah. And then, but Jeff was 20 feet back, and this tree was heading in the opposite direction. It must have caught a loose widowmaker
Right.
in the
Well,
air. And
you
Yeah.
cut the tree. All of us were watching, and Jeff was watching you, and we all saw the tree fall.
and
But it
nobody
wasn't-
seemed to say,
Nobody-
"Hey Jeff, there's a
It
tree coming at you."
shocked us.
But it wasn't the tree you were cutting down that fell on him.
No.
it was not.
It was
No, a loose
another-
widowmaker.
yeah.
Yeah, a loose widowmaker.
Yeah.
For the
And-
record, I wasn't here for any of these injuries.
Right?
Uh-huh.
You weren't here for the tree either. I
No,
love Hale and
no.
Jeff.
I was
Oh.
not here for that.
Well, I'll tell you what. We were because you were like, "Ha ha! I cut this tree," and we were all like, "Oh my god, Jeff, are you okay?" And you were completely beside yourself. That,
Well, it could have killed him. Honestly,
Yeah.
that branch could have killed him.
that was actually it was
so-
very high, and it was a very
it could
large
have killed
branch.
him, yeah. And then, as much as we post pictures about what we do on the farm, and some people are, have negative comments. Oh, well, you're wearing helmets in the woods. Well, let me tell you something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, absolutely.
Well,
Yeah,
the other
yeah.
time, you and I were cutting down a tree with the Kubota.
Oh yeah, yeah.
tractor.
We were pulling it off.
We
there
were
was a
pulling
loose.
it off.
It broke off. And you were in the.
Yeah.
That's right. You were in the Kubota.
In the
We just
Kubota.
got that new one with the
Yeah.
cab, and so we hooked up the logging winch, and it was a dead widowmaker
Yep.
just hanging up. So I looped the cable, and I said, "Listen, I'm just going to cut this loose. You pull it." And luckily,
Again, nowhere near it.
no. And luckily, you pulled it, just right, like you were supposed to. And this thing flipped over
Yeah.
inside the tree and came down on the cab.
Yeah.
And I was so thankful that that cab did not get hurt.
A lot of glass, it's expensive.
Yeah.
And Ryan, you've had a couple injuries.
Well, I mean, there's always a handful of injuries that happen every year when you're dealing with fire and sharp objects and wood and log splitters and heavy
And
equipment,
sharp metal edges on totes and
which I have a solution for this year.
okay.
They are, in all
Yes.
honesty, they are very sharp.
Yeah.
Those edges because
I have.
I think you've
Oh, yeah.
ripped your clothes.
Yeah.
I've ripped my coat.
Certainly my arms too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when we cut the fronts of the totes out, the edges on them are sharp. Even if you grind them, they make
Yeah.
them just as sharp. Only they're clean edges. So when they cut you, it's not so bad. But I have a solution for that. So I'll make a panel to
pool noodles. We're gonna do pool noodles.
Yeah.
It should have some kind of like rubber coating. Is there something that we can
yeah,
put on
and
with?
when one comes in, I'll slide it over. When it goes out, I'll take it off, put another one on when it comes in. But just to keep it, because when I'm running the evaporator, it's so hot in the sap house that I'm typically in a short sleeve shirt or a thin long sleeve shirt, and I burn my arms, burn all hair off my arms. But scratching myself, reaching into the totes
Yeah.
for the wood happens all the time. But this year I had a pretty good one because not all the totes are stacked exactly the same, and sometimes as I'm mixing stuff up, I
A
pull.
little critical. of the
Yeah.
stacking.
I mean,
sometimes I pull the wood out and stage it
Hold
for
on
the
a
next
second,
one.
because when we're stacking the wood, it's usually you are telling us what goes in what tote.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Hmm.
Sometimes.
I don't know, Ryan.
Anyway, I'm a wood snob. What do you want?
Mm-hmm.
At
You
least
are
you're
a wood
saying
We
snob.
know that.
Yes, we
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
So I'll pull it to the front and leave it stacked up. But, when I'm trying to load the evaporator as quick as I can, not every tote's in the same exact spot when it comes in. Sometimes they're twisted, this and that. And it was a new tote that had come in. I had only taken a couple pieces off the top of it. And when I'm trying to load it quickly, if you're not careful of where you are, you can either bump into the very, very hot door that has the little tabs that hold the insulation on sticking out that I will burn my arm or my leg on. I have plenty of jeans with holes in the legs from that
Why are you looking at me?
because I kept them and I still wear them
What does that have to do with me?
because you didn't. And
They took scissors and cut up past my knee.
You know,
You
you
think
got
I
two
should-
legs on a pair of pants.
just because you want to pull the facts out, don't mean you're going to win the
Right.
argument.
You and your
But anyway,
checking.
I try to keep it as close to the evaporator as I can so I can just go right from the tote into the evaporator. And it was just one of those days. There was a lot going on and I was firing wood into the evaporator and I turned around and what I think happened is that I either dropped a piece of wood or knocked a piece of wood off of the tote. And when I bent down to grab it, there was something sticking out that caught me right
You
here.
almost- Oh, I see a scar.
Oh yeah, no, there's definitely
Yeah,
a scar.
It was quite a injury.
My God,
there.
that might be the worst injury that we've ever had on this farm.
There's still a bump there.
I can see it. It like doesn't tan as well as
No,
the
no,
rest.
no, definitely. That's the worst injury we got. This is it. You win.
Well, because
No.
he turned around and he had no idea what was going on, and we're
It's
like,
just-
Yeah.
What do you got going on there? The blood's running down your head.
Got a big knot.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it was a good one. I hit my head pretty good. But what did I do? I wiped it off with a sap rag and waited to load the evaporator again.
we all just go back to work.
I would have just put peroxide on it and got
Mhm.
back to work too, but
Nobody got me peroxide. I
We
didn't
tried.
ask for the peroxide.
Nobody asked. I was just. I think we were all just a little shocked that he was talking to us, and then he's covered in blood. Nobody knew what happened.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure what happened. Really, I either dropped something or pulled something out because it'll happen. You drop you, and why I try to clump them together like that is so that I can grab them with two hands and fire them in and fill it up as quickly as possible. But sometimes a piece will fall out, or there's one that's a little stringy, it gets hung up, so I just let it slide off, and I got distracted. So when I leaned down, I caught my head on it.
Yeah.
But it was no big deal. Life goes on. We finished boiling. Everything was good.
Yep.
And we all come back to work.
We got to get one of those signs, 0 days since last.
That's true. Yeah. So we do now have a safety briefing at the beginning of all of our events for all of us. And Julie's usually in charge of the safety briefing. If we're going to do a log splitting day, we start off with a safety briefing.
Yeah.
which includes first aid, who's driving where, what
Mhm.
responsibilities of individuals.
But now,
It's a safety
as a
app.
result, some of the changes that have happened, we wear hard hats, all of us, anytime we're entering the woods. If we have a visitor, like one of the kids or a spouse that normally are not here, hard hat. Every mule has a full-size first aid kit under the seat.
Fire
Fire
extinguisher.
extinguisher.
Yep.
What?
Fire extinguisher.
Fire
Did I
extinguishers.
say it wrong?
Well, a couple
Is it
people spoke at
human?
once.
Human? Human?
We said
Human?
no.
I couldn't hear.
We said it simultaneously.
Yes. So every mule has a fire extinguisher, the first aid kit. In the barn, we have the AED, right? We have
Narcan.
Narcan.
Yep.
What else? I think every one of us are CPR certified.
Mm-hmm.
Every mule's got the keys to the excavator
Yep.
in it. In case
We keep
it's
them
really
close.
bad.
Gotta
In
have
case
it.
it's
Keep
really
that
bad.
Close.
Yeah.
But I mean, in reality, we're pretty good about safety here. Whether it's gloves,
Right.
for the right job, or making sure that we have safety glasses when we're cutting, or
Proper footwear.
proper footwear,
Hearing
make sure-
protection.
hearing protection, jeans, helmets, hard hats when you need to.
True.
It's all, there's a lot of work and there's a lot of dangers that we have here. And when you work around it every day and you go X number of days without an injury, you can get complacent. It's a job you've done 100 times. And I think back to when I first started here and I was taking the skid steer up the side hill over here and he was losing his mind because I was going up it like nothing. But you do that enough times and you catch a rock just the right way and the skid steer goes over backwards, that's a problem. You got to make sure you're wearing your seatbelt when it goes over backwards. So keeping the cabs of the the tractor's closed, keeping the doors closed when you're driving, because you're driving through the woods and you happen to look in the other direction and you catch a branch and it folds the door around to the side. So, not becoming complacent with all the jobs that
We've seen it many times how fast it can happen, right? You're like, okay, I'm just gonna, and next thing you know,
Oh yeah.
you're taking the ride.
Yeah. And even doing the firewood, the cycle time on that splitter is unbelievable. And you have to be careful. And you have a lot of hands pulling wood off the end and loading it off the side and pulling chunks back that need to be resplit and stuff. You have to be careful. You pinch the end of your glove a couple of times.
Well, I think everyone here has done it. Julie
Mm-hmm.
Julie has fallen off of the log pile a couple times. Ryan, I think you fell off last year. Did you fall down off there?
I gracefully removed myself.
Oh,
from
then
the
I
log
gracefully
pile.
removed myself.
You did not gracefully
Yes, I
do anything
did.
off that
We
log pile
both
that day.
gracefully removed ourselves.
Somebody removed themselves from a log
No,
pile,
the log pile
on the
removed you
ground, their
from
whole
it.
body laying on the ground. That
The-
wasn't too
I thought it
graceful.
was graceful.
No, I mean, the truth is, in the woods, the dangers are real. I mean,
Right.
We talk about the Widowmaker, but you're lucky. You really are lucky. Had that log moved another 6 inches, it would be a different outcome. It would be the Komatsu rather. So, yeah, no, it was bad. It's bad. I mean, I can tell you up in Olive, Elmo got hit by that branch, and we took him. He lost a tooth. It caught him literally just coming down the side of his face, and he's lucky to be alive. And he was just standing there, just literally standing there. The wind came, knocked a branch loose. That's why I don't tolerate the trees around the house as much as I can cut them back. And but once you're in the wood, that's what you're doing. And I know like I said, we've had people critical. Oh, you're wearing a helmet. What are you kidding? I walk through the woods. I'm in there, and I get it, right? You hunt.
Yeah.
You're in the woods without anything like that. I get it. But if we know we're going to be in there, it's just another safety check, and we have them. So
But again, a lot of people are in the woods once, twice a month.
Right.
Sometimes in maple season, we're in there
Every
or
day.
Somebody is in the woods
Right.
every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we are always looking like
Yeah.
what needs to come down, what looks dangerous. If it's windy, we're
Yeah, we
always
have-
looking for,
Yeah, and
for
Weddings in the woods,
potential
we've had-
problems.
we've had everything in the
Yeah.
woods, so it's
Well,
always
and not only that, but we're not just walking in the woods either. We're like manipulating the trees.
Right.
We're
Right.
touching them. We're moving them. we're
Pulling
pulling
on
on them. We're
Yeah.
Right.
removing branches all the time, clearing the lines. We are moving around the
Yeah.
things in the woods, and so when you move things, you might not be aware of other things that incidentally are also going to move.
And the
Well-
other thing is the hard hats that we are a fluorescent yellow, so we can find you too.
Yeah.
I'm always
Right.
looking because we're usually in different
As I
smaller
said, we break up
groups.
into teams.
Right.
So you're working over here, and you could affect the tree.
Right. So I know
the
we're
other
always
side.
like looking like where are they, and it's so easy to find you in the woods in the winter when you have something bright
yeah.
on.
Plus, you mentioned the one area, the stand that you got hurt. We named it Upper Julie, but we have one named Danger. Right, we have a
Yes.
stand named Danger
Yeah, we
just
do.
for that reason, because of the rock cuts, and
Mhm.
if there's a little snow
Plenty,
cover,
yeah, plenty
you
of
could
twisted
easily,
ankles
you
in
did
there.
that. I think you went into one of them, just
I
like you
did.
didn't hurt yourself, right? So,
I actually chipped a bone in my foot in Danger.
so there you go.
I
That's
forgot
it.
about that.
See, so many injuries, so little time.
I got a splinter yesterday. Was that yesterday?
Yeah, I actually have one too.
Yeah.
I still have
Saturday, right?
Man, that one was bad.
one. Yeah, I have one.
It happens.
Mhm.
We move on.
Yeah, when we were cutting the barrels for the in the morning, I cut the top of the barrels off for one of the vacuum stands in the back we set up, and I was using the jigsaw. And again, I'm rushing. I got the jigsaw, cordless jigsaw. I'm cutting around this plastic thing, and it caught, it bounced up, and it came down, and it came right between these two fingers,
Oh yeah.
and went right through the meat of my middle finger. And I pulled it back out. There was a big piece of meat hanging out. I took my utility knife, cut it off, wrapped it up in a towel, finished cutting the barrel. Right, just keep going.
This last year, you got a wire to the middle of the finger.
Oh, yeah.
that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good one.
That was what do we call that stand? The one by the solar. Oh, Upper Ryan.
Upper
Or
Ryan.
Left Ryan or West Ryan or
West.
something.
There's no such
Right.
thing as Lower Ryan.
I know.
Okay.
It's
Call it
East and
East.
West. So that was East Ryan.
Yeah, we're like running a wire or something, and you right
Yeah.
down the middle of your
Yep.
knuckle. Oof.
That's when Jeff was vacationing in the desert.
In the sun.
There's no maple there.
All right, so be careful out there.
Yes. So
we will too.
Yes.
All right. We'll see you soon.